At the Office, Cleveland's home for sports talk that never clocks out. From the latest headlines to heated debates, we're diving into everything sports. It's your hosts, Noah and Erik.
Hey, everybody. Welcome into The Office, the show where we talk all things sports. I'm your host, Erik, and I'm joined by my co-host, Noah. You can join us at The Office as well. Send us a comment on YouTube, Facebook, or X, or you can call or text the show at 216-260-3433. That's 216-260-3433. Noah, a little bit of storms in the area, a little bit of technical difficulties. How are you doing?
I'm here now. I apologize.
I can't hear you at all. Shit.
I was so focused on getting you unmuted for your cue that I didn't unmute myself for my own cue. That's fine. We're here now. It just leans into the experience that has been today and today's weather. For our avid viewers, people who have watched weekly, my shelves might look a little wonky behind me right now, and that's because they are off the wall because my wall is leaking with all the weird rain and weather and everything that we have going on. Erik had some tech issues. It's been a hell of a day, but that doesn't stop us from clocking in and clocking out to talk about sports. Isn't that right, E?
That's right. We have a fun show. Did you know, speaking of weather, I just learned this. My friend Summer, shout out Summer, was just telling me that apparently Tornado Alley is shifting and now Ohio's like a part of it.
Interesting. No, I did not know that, but I'm going to just continue to ride off the vibes of the lakes there, so we're fine.
I I like it. I hope you're right. A little scary to think about. I don't think, besides Houston, Texas, tornadoes never really hit an actual metropolitan area, so I think we're good anyway.
Right.
Anyway, we got a fun show because there is a lot to cover. Cleveland sports world has been on fire, but I want to start how we always start, which is with 30-second takes. And, the LeBron drama continues. Could LeBron return to Cleveland? Rumors have been swirling. LeBron's agent recently, Rich Paul, he even confirmed that the Cavs have reached out. You see it here with this tweet. The Cavs have reached out as one of the teams inquiring about trading for LeBron James. So there's certainly a lot of smoke. Noah, I want to hear what you think. Is LeBron coming back to Cleveland? Is he on the move? You're on the clock. Give me your take, 30 seconds.
Well, one last little piece of information before we get into it real quick that I want to throw up there too was LeBron continuing to stir the pot as well. Shams tweeted about Kobe Altman and his assistant Mike Gainsley, Brandon Weems, a bunch of people in the Cleveland front office getting extensions. And of course, LeBron just felt the need to say, yes, sir, congratulations to my brother B. Wim. Super proud of you, my man, before he goes in there. So I will now put my 30 seconds gladly on the clock and get us started, if you don't mind. And just by saying that we are in the peak of dead season right now, 1 week until NFL training camp start, 1 week until really baseball is back. Not really 1 week, couple days. You know what I mean? This is fun to talk about. My tone and my attitude shift of the chances of LeBron coming to Cleveland has gotten a little bit higher. That being said, I'm still at like 20% chance, and I think I was 10 last week on the show with John. What about my man?
Yeah, I mean, listen, we know what it takes to move him. The fact that Rich Paul is saying, though, that, hey, the Cavs have reached out, I think we're in win now mode, which is interesting because you shared a tweet earlier that Brian Windhorst is saying that they're in, what was it, 3 to 5 year mode or something like that?
4 to 5, which is crazy to me. And I know we're
4 to
cutting into your
5.
time with me jumping in, so we'll just let it go. But
No, you're good, but because I agree. I think it's completely crazy. You have one Evan Mobley who grew up in LA. I don't think he remains a Cavalier forever. And I'm not saying that he wants to leave or anything like that. I'm saying that the pool would be pretty strong if he decided, hey, the Cavs aren't winning it, and et cetera. So I think that window's kind of shorter than you think. Could LeBron return? Would that put the Cavs over the top? Honestly, I think it does. Even if you have to give Allen and um, Garland, I don't know why I can never think of his name, Allen and Garland, I think LeBron brings you over the top in a way that could bring a championship back to the city.
So I want to ask you this because me and you were the more pessimistic ones when we talked about LeBron last week on the show. My tone has gotten a little bit more optimistic in terms of the way and the thought process of him coming back to Cleveland. I think you were at like 2% chance when we talked last week on the show. Give me a percentage this week for the viewers out there.
Yeah, I mean, I might be up to like 10%, 8 to 10, somewhere in that range, but I still don't think it's happening. I think just so much from the money side of things has to go our way in order to even consider it. Apparently, the Lakers want guys on expiring contracts if they're going to trade them, which I don't understand that at
I
all,
saw
but
that
that's the
tweet too.
rumor.
That makes no sense. Why wouldn't they want to bring in some assets that they can control if they're really diving into Luka's going to be our guy for the next 10, 12, whatever years, the next face of the Lakers franchise as they've had throughout the years with Kobe and Magic? It makes no sense to me. I don't know how much value there is in that post. We are in NBA silly season right now. I feel
Right.
like we forget that sometimes because the NFL silly season is the definition of silly. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I agree with you. I mean, it seems odd when Lakers, in a way, are in win now too. Especially with the addition of Luka. Remember, he didn't have a full season with them, so we haven't really seen necessarily what they can be. I'm a little surprised from the ownership standpoint, new owners in LA, that they want to get rid of LeBron. Maybe that's LeBron pushing behind the scenes. I don't know. But you would think that at the very least, the guy that's going to sell a hell of a lot of ticket jerseys, you'd want to stick around in your first year as new owner. Um, but whether or not he comes to the Cavs, probably not. But man, would it be exciting? I'm all for it.
Yeah, it'll be exciting. I think I start getting some of those feelings I had in 2015 when I was doing LeBron Watch. I know we were joking in our group chat on the side about making one of the segments just LeBron Watch for the time being because it feels like we're talking about it every week, even if it's for the bigger play of what's going on in the NBA, not just with Cleveland. I don't know if you saw this rumor that came out earlier in the week that the Cavs might be involved with a trade with the Mavericks, which sounded like the Mavericks were positioning to maybe trade from LeBron off of that. So we're helping the Mavericks get LeBron. Did you see that at all?
I did see that. Thought that one was interesting, and people kept asking, would the Cavs do this? Would the Cavs help the Mavs? Um, I don't think they worry about the West so much. The East is kind of clear right now, so helping the Mavs, I don't think they'd look at it that way. I think they'd look at it as getting the pieces that they want.
I agree with you on that point too, because I feel like, in my mind at least, I don't want to speak to you, but the team that's going to come out of the West and is going to be OKC. They are just so dominant, barring some catastrophic injury to one of their star players. I
Right.
love LeBron, AD, Kyrie being back together, especially Kyrie and LeBron for the sentimental Cleveland moments that are there. But I don't see that trifecta still beating OKC and what is a deep,
No?
young play. You?
That's a lot of talent still. I mean, I get what you're saying, but if they can click and be on all cylinders, I see that falling apart in the locker room. But if they could click, yeah, I could see them vying for, the Western Conference Finals
It's
or
not
the championship.
2018, 2019 anymore, my friend. It is the Shai
That's
Gilgeous
fair.
Alexander and Chet Holmgren led Western Conference. And to me, I it'll be a fun series. I could see them winning, but if I were to put my money on it, I'm taking OKC 5, 6, 7 all day.
Here's what I'll say to that. People would have said the same thing about Boston a year and a half ago. I think OKC is one bad injury away, and that has to be a factor. I get it. They're not injured right now, so you think of them as coming back strong, but I wouldn't put all my chips on OKC.
I'm not I mean, I would if for the time being, I guess is what more so what I mean. I understand what you're saying. Injuries are a factor. We've seen the Achilles injury rise, but that just goes back to what the main point of this is if I'm looking at it face value, OKC versus a Dallas LeBron-led Dallas team with AD and Kyrie, I'm still taking OKC in 5, 6, 7, period.
Yeah, fair enough. Anything else you want to add on the Cavs before we move on?
Nope, because I know we're going to end up talking about LeBron next week with how this whole theory and how this whole show has been going. So I'm going to just keep riding and see what happens in the next week in news.
I'm waiting for the emergency press conference show where we look like we're in a closet and we're like, LeBron's coming back, baby, just so we could break it early.
It's actually just Erik at work trying to squeeze 10 minutes out of his lunchtime in some random utility closet while I'm working from home, sipping on a nice coffee out of my Out the Office mug.
You had to go there. Thankfully, I have a nice office with a door that I could shut if that does happen, and a little slider that says "Do not disturb." But fair point, I am still at the office. Speaking of at the office is sponsored by D&D Meadery, the finest mead in Northeast Ohio, maybe the country, I dare say. Derek and Dominic, they're twin brothers with a passion for craftsmanship, and they took that love for winemaking straight from their ancestors in Germany, and they brought it here to share with all of us. It's in their blood, literally, centuries of tradition now bottled up for you to enjoy. You know, they're not just mead, they're bringing an ancient drink back to life one pour at a time. I got to tell you guys, it is good stuff. This is their gold-winning honey wine that I'm holding right now. They have some new flavors out that I've been wanting to try, but I keep going back to the original because it's so good. Here's the best part. If you use the code @the-office-CLE, that's @the-office-CLE, when you order, you'll get an extra 5% off your order. And if you order 2 or more bottles, you will get this nice little shot glass to go with it. Noah doesn't have his because it's not dishwasher safe, so keep that in mind. Visit dndmeadery.org. You can purchase online or you can find a retail location near you where you can purchase as well. But use that code, get the 5% off to order online. Must be 21 or older. Please drink responsibly. Noah.
You put that perfectly. That was fantastic, man. I just wanted to give you a break, catch your breath before you led into the next topic. There you go. You're good. You're good, man.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Noah.
What up?
Our brownies can't have nice things.
You knew that.
We'll explain more on this edition of Around the Water Cooler. That's right. Noah, I'm so disappointed. It's like we go 1 week or maybe even 2 weeks, and it seems like positive Browns news. And then we see that the city keeps fighting about the stadium. We see that the Haslams, who, Jimmy Haslam said that, yeah, it was probably a mistake trading for Deshaun Watson, yet they're at his wedding. We see that the list goes on and on. We can't have nice things as Browns fans. I think we've come to realize that. But what I didn't think would happen is that our stud number 2 pick and stud Ohio State running back, Quinshon Judkins, I didn't expect him to be arrested for domestic assault in Florida. First of all, I never heard a whiff of this kid getting into trouble when he was at Ohio State. Granted, I think stuff gets covered up a little bit more in college. We don't need to get into that argument right now. And I'm not throwing shade. I genuinely have never heard of any issues with him. But as soon as he's in brown and orange, he's arrested for domestic assault. Noah, I want you to break it down for me and give me your opinion. But first of all, before you do, I just want to say it's time for camp. It's time to be a Brown player. Just stop going to fucking Florida, guys. Everything seems to happen in Florida. He's arrested in Florida. How many players are going to get arrested in Florida before you just, cut that state off? Noah, give me your take.
Yeah, you want my take, man? I'll tell you my take. I'll wrap it up like this.
I'm tired of this, Grandpa. That's too damn
That's exactly how I feel to a T. I am so tired of dealing with the Cleveland Browns and dealing with this kind of stuff in the headlines. It makes it so hard to be like, yes, sir, I am a Browns diehard because I am. I bleed orange and brown. Now, Quinshon Judkins, we'll go there and then I'll get macro and talk a little bit about the Cleveland Browns and my frustration with them as an organization. Judkins, you're right, has had zero types of negativity in the press. There was some stuff that was floating around that maybe he had a bad attitude at Ole Miss, but we're talking about Ole Miss message boards, and we're really doing some Google sleuthing to try and figure out where the hell this went wrong with this kid, right?
Right.
Now, the report, not for the faint of heart. There's a lot of not so good sounding stuff in it. So if you want to go read it, please do. If you don't, please don't. It's horrible. I don't stand for any of that kind of stuff. And I hate that who's supposed to be the franchise running back, according to where we picked him and how they talk about him, is already in the media for bad press. Let's go macro. Andrew Berry, my friend. We're talking Deshaun Watson, Malik McDowell, Jameis Winston, Perrion Winfrey, Devin Bush, Mike Hall, another Ohio State second-round pick from last year, and now Quinshon Judkins. Not to mention you could technically throw Kareem Hunt in there because they brought him back. So technically Andrew Berry signed someone with some baggage there as well. We are talking about 7 players, though, if you take Kareem out of it, that have had questionable at best things pop up either before or during their tenure in orange and brown. What the hell is going on? I'm frustrated and I'm tired of it, Grandpa. What do you think, E?
I honestly don't have much more to add because I agree. Like, even if you look at the details of this case, there were those out there that said, really look closely at Deshaun Watson. These girls that are suing him also kept going back, et cetera, et cetera. Push that aside. And I'm not saying Deshaun Watson's a good guy, obviously, but push that aside. The details of this case are pretty damning. Whether or not, the girl did stay with him an extra couple days, et cetera, but she had visible markings on her. Like he assaulted her. And the fact that we're dealing with this again, and I don't know what's going to happen. I'm not saying that we're going to drop him or our second round pick is a complete bust. It's a tricky situation for the Browns. It shouldn't be. I mean, seeing that he physically assaulted a woman, should he not just be dropped from the team immediately? I know we hate it as sports fans, but like, where's the line here? And once again, it's tarnishing the name of Browns. The Browns are a joke organization. I love them. They're my Brownies, but they are a joke to the rest of the league, to the rest of the country. I wouldn't even be surprised the rest of the world. I thought about going over to the London game this year in October and talking to some of the fans over there that are from England and being like, hey, do you know of the Browns and what's your take? And I'd probably hear some damning things, river on fire, blah, blah, blah. Not that they can talk. I'm pretty sure their river has caught on fire as well. But my point is, I'm not wasting my money to fly to London to watch the Browns because I can watch them lose here. And it's just one more thing. Like, there's such an embarrassment, man. Such an embarrassment.
It's so embarrassing. It feels like we can't ever have nice things. I mean, you could even go with everything feels great. We love their draft. Shador gets pulled over. Who cares? It's not the biggest thing in the entire world.
Right.
Okay, but everybody's still looking good. At least it's only getting pulled over. Like Deshaun Watson was our quarterback at one point. So, I mean, he's still on the roster, but we don't need to get into that. And then this happens. And then you also got to think about there's the different players that have just come up. Devin Bush is still on the roster and has a problem with this going on. That was towards the end of last season, I believe. It's just it's so mind-boggling that this keeps happening to us. And I believe there was some fans that did some research, of course, to see how bad and how egregious it has been for the Browns compared to some of the other teams. They're top 5, but Minnesota has like almost double what we have still, which is absolutely insane to me. It is like, I just don't get it. And something I wanted to get your opinion on too is the fact that Judkins still hasn't signed his contract. What do
Right.
you think that is going to look like for him? Because they were trying to get a fully guaranteed contract, and now we're sitting here with this situation. Uh, it's Wednesday night at the time of recording. I mean, he's got to sign that thing tomorrow without having to hold out or get fined for not being at camp on Friday. What do you think, man?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the first things that I said, you, John, and I were at lunch together. I said this could really work out in favor of the Browns because if I'm Andrew Berry, whatever the negotiations were like before, you can damn well bet that you're not getting what we were talking about before. You're not getting fully guaranteed. You're not getting the money you want. Like, we might be saving some money here. Sit out all you want, but you're clearly in the wrong. You're lucky that we're even going to take you. We'll see what happens there, but it could prove to be valuable to the Browns long term, assuming he's not going to jail or we don't have to just outright drop him at some point.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, in my heart of hearts, I feel like this is going to end up getting settled in some case because it always does when it comes to this kind of thing. And I'm not saying that to excuse the behavior or to dampen the blow or any of that. That's just how this typically goes down. I don't think he's going to see jail time. It's just
Probably
it's
not,
still
no.
it's still so baffling to me. That's the best way for me to put it is to just start shaking my head as soon as I think of a take to have because there's nothing else to be said. It's frustrating. I hope Dylan Sampson is a hell of a running back. He was at Tennessee. Those boys from Tennessee don't always translate to the league right away, so I don't
Or to
know. And
Columbus.
yeah, poor
I
Columbus.
I will say one more thing though, just based on Tim's comment. He's like, "Isn't this the second Buckeye player second year in a row?" The ironic thing here is that for years I've said, "Why don't we draft Ohio State players?" We see Pittsburgh constantly draft Ohio State players. They perform so well, and we pass on them in the draft every single year. Well, 2 years in a row now, we draft an Ohio State player, and maybe it's not meant to be. Maybe if Quinshon, so is that systemic? That's the question, right? Is it systemic to our organization? If Quinshon was, just hear me out for a second. I had a trailing thought that I want to follow. If Judkins was drafted by Pittsburgh, does this happen? Is he even in Florida at the time of the incident, or is he a little more locked down by that organization?
I don't know because him being in Florida with a girl that is his girlfriend, technically, from what the reports sounded like and everything, or at least an ex girlfriend he was still close with, athletes go and do things all the time. I don't know if that's a valid take, but I'm also with you in that process of is it that systemic at this point where we're not locking down our players or not being stern enough about keeping our shit together? I don't know.
Something,
You know
yeah. I
what
mean,
else? I had another trailing thought real quick, not to dig the knife further into our hearts as Cleveland Browns fans, but letting Nick Chubb walk hurts a little bit extra with this news, in my opinion, because regardless of what happens with this, he's definitely not getting suspended. He's getting suspended, right? Of some sort, whether it be 5 games like Hall was last year, or 6 or more, depending on how much this case goes on and goes further. It just hurts a little bit more because we let one of the nicest guys, one of the most stand-up dudes that have ever worn orange and brown walk. And we didn't think it at the time, but now we have a guy that has a lot of character concerns, to say the very least.
yeah, it's just one more thing, one more knock. I don't even know what to think at this point, honestly. I don't know. We're gonna still watch. We're gonna tune in, but it's just like, it gets to the point where, like, I don't know how you and I as Brown fans, all we've known is losing. And maybe it's the winning for the most part. Maybe it's the winning from the 80s that keeps people like my dad still invested. But I got to tell you, I just don't know how people that have done the misery for 50 years, 60 years, whatever. Like, could you imagine 40 years from now, still like the hapless Browns not winning?
Yeah,
It's
because I'm not.
exhausting.
It's so exhausting, but I'm not gonna go root for the Browns. Still, that's
Right.
the
You don't
catch
give up, but
22 of this.
still, it's just,
Yeah,
it's tough.
it is indeed, my friend.
All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break, but stay tuned because we're going to continue some Browns talk and then we have some Guardian shop to talk as well. We'll be back after this. Welcome back to At the Office. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button on YouTube and check us out on Instagram and TikTok. Make sure you get in on the action and buy some At the Office merch. We've been saying for a few weeks now that we're working on new merch. Noah will testify to you that we already have some cool ass shirt designs ready to go. We've just got to get them up on the website and switched over. But they're so cool, and we're going to have plenty more. If you're a baseball fan, if you're a football fan, if you're a tennis fan, there's going to be something for you with some graphic tees. So head on over to attheofficecle.com, and I would say by August 1st, that's a good date, right? By
Yeah, I
August
think we can
1st,
hold ourselves to that.
that new merch will be up. So make sure you go and grab yourself a t-shirt. By the way, Noah, speaking of August, we have something pretty cool coming up in August.
I was wondering if you were gonna transition to it or not, because I was gonna stop you and plug it real quick before we moved on with our topics. Go ahead, man. I'm really excited.
All I'm going to say is Sprechen Sie Deutsch. Uh, Guys, the show's going German, and I don't mean we're going to be speaking German, even though I am taking lessons. But what I mean is we have a live show at Hofbrauhaus on Saturday, August 2nd, 1 p.m. We're going to be pre-gating and tailgating the Browns. What did we call it? Beers and...
You said Browns, you meant Guardians, and it's full Steins and full count, full Steins. That's correct.
Full count, full Steins. You're right. I did mean Guardians. It's before the Guardians game that day. But come on out, meet us, meet the show. It's going to be a great time. We're going to be drinking. Hell, you might even be able to buy us a drink. We might let you do that. But regardless, or do a shot ski with us. That will probably happen.
Or 3, or 4, or 5, or 6.
Keep going. It's going to be a great time. That's Saturday, August 2nd at Hofbrauhaus. Thank you, by the way, to our partner, Hofbrauhaus, that is hosting us. And shout out to MK over there, she'll probably pop up on screen while we're there. But very, very cool. Friend of the show. And we're so excited. I'm so excited. So I'll see you out there. We'll see you out there.
I can't wait, man. I can't wait. Opera House is one of my favorite places to drink a couple beers. So I'm going to have a couple beers, talk a little bit of sports with my friends, and then have a couple more beers and go to the Guardians game and have a great old Saturday, August 2nd.
Wait, are we going to the game after?
I'm going to have the ballpark pass still, so I'm down to go.
Maybe I'll just buy a ticket because that sounds fun.
Yeah, let's do it.
Can we rope John into that?
Or maybe do a 999 challenge. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
I'm going to say no on that day.
Yeah, that's fair. We're going to be lifting steins and doing our thing beforehand. So doing 9 more beers at the stadium and then 9 hot dogs on top of that may just not be it.
You know what? That reminds me. Do me a favor and write this down as I intro the next topic. But we should do a Stein holding contest. And you had some practice because you did I guess it was over winter. I was late to the bar. I missed it. But we should do a Stein holding contest while we're at Hofbrau and see who lasts the longest on the show.
I am all the way here for it. Let's go.
All right, let's go back to Browns and let's talk quarterback competition. The Browns drafted a lot of quarterbacks. They still have a lot of quarterbacks. One, Deshaun Watson. Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Shedeur Sanders, Dylan Gabriel. Am I missing anybody? I feel like I am. I don't think I am.
You said all 5. You're good. You're good. Okay. You're there.
We have a lot of quarterbacks, and the question is, of course, who is going to win out that job and be the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns in 2025/6? Well, some people are starting to think that the competition may not be a fair one. Noah, break it down for me.
Yeah, so ESPN Cleveland ran a poll a little while back. This was during OTAs and whatnot. And it was the next level poll question of the day. Are the Browns running a fair QB competition? And it was a tight vote. There was 1,107 votes total. 48.8%, yes, they are. 51.2%, no, they are not. And I found that really interesting because I think for the most part they are, but maybe tell me I'm wrong.
I don't know because there's so many, like you have sunk cost fallacy at play with Watson. Do I think he's going to hit the field? A couple months ago I said 0% chance. Watson is never playing a down of football again. Now that the Haslams went to his wedding, weird move. And you're still paying him $250 million. Continuity, as Tim is referring to with Flacco, makes sense. But don't forget, Flacco's not just competing for that starting job. He said pretty flat out, that's the only job I'm interested in. I'm not really interested in, bringing up a rookie or being a mentor or any of that. He wants the starting job. We argued about it a little bit on the show. And then you have two rookies. I didn't even mention Kenny Pickett yet, but then you have two rookies that are just vying for a spot. Shador's getting a lot of shit, but he's done nothing but step foot after foot right. Today he hosted an event where, sadly there was a death and an explosion at an apartment complex here in the greater Cleveland area, and he hosted a charity event to raise money for that complex. So you have a guy that's done nothing besides the speeding tickets, nothing but positive things. I don't know, man. I don't know that it's a rigged competition, but I just don't know where they would go with it.
Yeah, so you mentioned Watson, and my personal opinion is there is no reason to even bring him up at this point because he's not going to be involved in this quarterback competition. I am still firmly in the belief that they are going to put him on the PUP list and they are going to leave him on the PUP list so they get their insurance money out of him and they can cut him next year. We'll leave that to the air.
See.
I hope I'm right on that. I think that's the majority opinion, the majority thought process, aside from Mary Kay making some comments. But people make jokes that Mary Kay is a spokesperson for the Watson camp anyway. So we'll leave that there. I understand why people may think that the Browns are not going to host a fair competition because of how highly they've spoke of, how highly some of the media members have spoke of one Kenny Pickett. And none of us see anything whatsoever, whether it be the stupid breakdown of the stats during OTAs and mandatory minicamp. We haven't seen it. We didn't see it when he was in Pittsburgh. We didn't see it when he had to start those couple games for Philly and he fumbled backwards and did some Deshaun Watson shit in the pocket. So we don't see
flashes, but go on.
Very, very minuscule flashes.
Yeah, few and far between, but
DTR game-winning drive against Pittsburgh, so that's a flash too, and we know what DTR is, right?
Fair point.
So I get why people may lean that way, but we're talking about a head coach that has a quarterback room that I think he is, for the first time, handpicked every person in there, or at least has had a good say. I don't know how much Watson he had a say. He didn't have a say with Baker because Baker was here when he got hired. He brought in a rookie he really liked, a rookie they all liked at one point, Kenny Pickett, who they traded for, Joe Flacco, which he's worked well with in the past. I think this is going to be a fair competition. I think the edge is going to go to Pickett and Flacco because they don't want to send them down that murderer's row of the first 6 weeks of the season that the Cleveland Browns schedule is.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I keep just going back and forth. I can't decide. I really can't decide. Pickett it seems like he was brought in to lose quietly, which sounds funny to put it that way. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Who do you want to see as your 1, 2, 3?
My 1, 2, 3, like depth chart wise.
Yeah.
Uh, 1, 2, 3. I would. I mean, I would guess Joe Flacco, Pickett number 2, Shador number 3, because I don't have faith in Dylan Gabriel, and I think Kenny Pickett could at least be a backup in the league. What I think it should be is Joe Flacco, Shador Sanders, Gabriel 1, 2, 3. But it's probably I think all 4 of them are going to be on the roster. Do you think all 4 are going to be on the roster?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, we talked early where we said no way, but now, unless somebody goes down early with a team and they really want to give, whether it's draft stock or whatever, to us, then yeah, I think we do keep all 4. By the way, I keep seeing this narrative being pushed, which is crazy, that the Browns will have the 2nd overall pick next year and that they're already leaning towards a new quarterback.
Yeah, I think that the master plan, I mean, when you have 2 first round picks in a draft, the master plan is to use it to get your quarterback. It's Shador Sanders and Dylan Gabriel's job to prove to the Cleveland Browns why they don't need to do that, and they just need to fortify the troops and let it ride with either one of them.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's so up in the air right now. We haven't seen them in pads. We get to see them in pads next week. We're gonna go to a couple training camps together and actually get to do the eye test ourselves and take notes and really break down what our thoughts are on each of these 4 quarterbacks and have those thoughts. It's so early to tell, but to me, I think it's asinine to think that they're not going to have a fair competition after going 3-13 last year and not wanting to see what each of these rookies, as well as potentially Kenny Pickett, as well as having Joe be a mentor, even though he doesn't want to be a mentor per se, but to ride out some of those tough games at the top of the season. It's such a catch-22. This is the most fascinating thing about the Cleveland Browns that I can speak of positively right now.
No, that's fair. Yeah, I don't know where I have my depth chart right now, but I think it would be Joe Flacco at 1, Shador at 2. I'm throwing a flyer and having Kenny Pickett at 3. I think he has athleticism. Can we unlock that? Probably not, but I don't know.
But then you start going down the catch-22 of not having a 3rd round pick on your roster in year 1.
No, I agree. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. All
it's
right.
going to be fascinating. I think it's going to be one of the veterans and both of the rookies is what it's going to shake up to. And we might not like that Joe Flacco is not the one veteran because they see something in Kenny Pickett, unfortunately.
Yeah, I got you. I'm tired of talking about the team that depresses me the most in Cleveland, so let's move on to the team that depresses me the second most in Cleveland. That would be the Cleveland Guardians, and they went streaking. Stop me if you've heard this before, because I think I said it last time we were talking Guardians, but this time they've been streaking in a positive direction. Prior to the All-Star break, they swept the Houston Astros. Fuck the Astros, by the way. They swept the Astros, and then they took 2 of 3 from the White Sox going into All-Star break. Shout out Stephen Kwan, by the way, who tied it up with a home run in the All-Star game. Did you watch any of the All-Star game?
I'm going to be honest, I did not tune into it. The All-Star game to me, and I figured we were going to touch on it on the show, any of the All-Star games, the Pro Bowl, NBA, NFL, definitely not NHL. I don't pay attention to the NHL as it is. None of it really does anything for me. I like watching the home run derby when there's players I care about it in, and there wasn't anyone that was like making me feel like I wanted to watch it this year. So it was a pay attention on X, watch the highlights after type of moment for me. I know Quan got a hit that was pretty important in the All-Star game, but other than that, I mean, Jose didn't even play in the game, even though he was voted as a starter. So
Not just a hit, though. He hit a home run to tie it up to force a swing off. That's pretty cool. Go on.
no, you're good.
I was just say that. I completely lost what I was going to say. Oh, hear me out. If you're a fan of the show, stop me. You take all the All-Star guys and you throw them in a house on the beach somewhere and you film it all. I'm just kidding because we've been over that before.
That was
Love
like
Island.
that was one of Eric's original takes before I think even went by the name Fully Is at the office. I think that was way back when. Like John might have been me, John, and Eric might have been coworkers still when he threw that one out there.
You might be right about that, but I will maintain to this day, instead of, this was in NBA at the time, but instead of an All-Star break, if you took those All-Stars, LeBron, KD, whoever, SGA, I don't know why I was dating myself there, and you threw them Love Island style into a house together, I would watch every single second of that. And you're telling me you wouldn't, Noah?
I mean, I would for sure, but it just does not do all star in sports. There's the Love Island pocket of my brain and the reality TV pocket of my brain, and then there's the sports side of my brain.
We'll throw a hoop in there so they can mess around on that. All right. Back to the Guardians, though. We were talking about them streaking in a positive way prior to the All-Star break. Tell me, is that a sign of things to come? Are you feeling positive about the Guardians now? Are you still on the negative train? What are your thoughts?
I'm in the lukewarm train, but like if warm was like positive and
Mm-hmm.
cold was like negative, I'm like warm. This is a bad analogy. I'm like decently warm on it.
I
I'm
was staying
feeling
with you.
yeah, I feel like I could have kept going, but I didn't like it, so I dropped it. I'm feeling decently warm. Like maybe 55%. If 100% is positive and 0 is negative, okay, I'll stop. I'm sorry. I see flashes of greatness with this team, right? You see an Angel Martinez home run streak. You see Jose get uh, AL Player of the Week. You see a lot of good things going on, and you also think about the fact that Shane Bieber is going to be back soon. He did a rehab start, and we're getting closer to having some extra help on the way. We're getting to a point where hopefully CJ Kafis or Chase DeLauder gets called up, because that would be awesome. We've only been talking about that since like May at this point, and we're mid-July now. All of these parts to be said, I still don't see it in them like I did last year. And I want to see it in them. I want to care about baseball in August and September and the second half of July and into October, and all of the stuff that I got to enjoy being at those games, watching those games on TV last year when we were in the playoffs. I just don't see that same flash. And I don't know if that's because we got rid of Naylor and Jimenez or whatever. So that's why I'm warm, but not super warm. I'm like bathwater. I'm old bathwater with the Cleveland Guardians. What about you, man?
Old bathwater. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm a little more on the positive side, believe it or not. I was pretty Debbie Downer prior to their recent success, but it's what I've seen that is making me excited. The youth movement's doing its thing. Like you said, having Bieber back will be huge. Bybee can hold his own. I think Bo is going to adjust better at the plate. I know that sounds crazy, and I know
I
I give
hope
you
you're right, man.
I give you so much shit for being a Bo stan, uh, but I don't know. I just feel like he's going to come into his own in the second half of this season. And correct me if I'm wrong, but don't we have a pretty light schedule ahead?
We do, for the most part, from what I can remember off of the
Like
top of my head,
A's,
of course.
Angels,
Yeah, I know when
Rockies,
we do our
maybe.
show, they're playing the Twins, and we always typically have the number on the Twins and the whatnot. So yeah, we have some easier games coming up. I feel like we've gone through a lot of the gauntlet so far. It's hard for me to buy in because they have been so flash in the pan and then fizzle out all season.
They're kind of gritty at times though, and I appreciate that. I think we talked about that at the very beginning of the season because that disappeared for a minute, but they're pushing back towards 500. I think they can hang around for that wild card fight. If that's the case, listen, now's the time to take a roll of the dice. you got to be active at the trade deadline. So you got to bring a guy in that's going to make a difference and help you make that push. I will say, as much as we give the owners crap, the Dolans, I should say specifically, for being cheap, et cetera, they have gone out and made splashy signings at the trade deadline to try to get a bat in the past when we're pushing for playoff time. Will they do that this year? I think that's the biggest question. Or will they be sellers? Have a lot that they could potentially be selling. But I think they should make the push and try to get over the hump. The bigger question, though, for me, if you do that, is the juice worth the squeeze? And what I mean by that is, can you compare to the Yankees? Can you compare? There's a lot of good clubs that we'd have to run through. I don't know. Is it worth just losing in the wild card?
That's the big question, because you're not gonna win the division. The Tigers are the best team in the AL right now by far. So do you really want to be a buyer at the deadline, or do you want to make a move where maybe you deal Clase and you bring in a bat and some pieces for later, where you're kind of doing like a wild card move, really, where you're trying to fortify making that wild card push. You move Cade Smith up into that reliever role, and your bullpen's still your bullpen, so you feel good about it. And you bring in another bat to help. You deal off some of these pieces like a Lane Thomas, like I almost said an Emmanuel Clase again, but a Carlos Santana. Let some of these younger guys, Manzardo, a player with flashes. Yes, he has his defensive issues, but he hasn't got to play every day in the majors yet. And please let that man play every day in the majors. It's time to see what we got in him. So there's different moves where you can kind of be in the middle. And I think that is the phrase that defines the Cleveland Guardians right now, is we are very much just in the middle. We're in the wild card. We're up, we're down, we're in between. I don't know. Do you want to, I know you're talking about making a move. Do you want to see a Class A type of move potentially like I'm talking about, or do you want to see them just try to sell some of the farm and get another bat and let it ride like we did with Lane Thomas last year?
Ask me again in a couple weeks. When you were saying that get rid of Class A, bring in a bat, I like that strategy a lot. I don't mind that at all. And I think you could get a lot of good value back. Holding on to him and getting a bat, though, I don't know. I go both ways, honestly.
It's so tough. It is so shaky in my mind to figure out what you want to do, because Class A is a fan favorite and you dealt 2 fan favorites, and not that they ever care about that. But Class A is also still arguably the best reliever in baseball. So do you really want to get rid of him, or do you want to play that game where you let him go for a year and then he comes right back anyway because you give him some money, even though I don't think his contract works like that? There's so many different stances the team could take. And honestly, in my opinion, I don't think they're going to make a move at all. I think we're just going to stay pat. Maybe the move be something like moving off of Clase and Lane Thomas, just because they're not in the best interest of some of the young prospects that we have that could be in the majors right now, or are in the majors in the case of Kyle Manzardo. But I think they're going to stay put for the most part, which is going to piss off a lot of fans. And we'll have plenty to talk about at the Hofbrauhaus show, because that is the next show after the MLB trade deadline. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. We definitely did that on purpose.
For sure. So just to summarize, the Guardians are warm bathwater.
Warm? No, used bathwater is crazy.
Nope.
Used bathwater, and you forgot to unplug the drain, and then you came back in like 10 minutes later and unplugged the drain. That's
used
what the Cleveland
bathwater. Now for sale at theofficecle.com. All right, let's move on.
Pause.
Let's move on to our final topic, which obviously relates because the Guardians just drafted a few players as well. MLB draft. I have a different take here than Noah. Obviously, we talked about this a little bit, but first of all, with their first pick in the first round, 27th overall, the Guardians selected Jace LaViolette. And then with the second overall pick, second pick for the Guardians, this was in the second round, 66th overall, they selected Aaron Walton. I will say neither of these two picks were my favorite of their picks. I'll get into that in a second. But it does mark as quite the departure for the Guardians. Normally, the Guardians and the Indians before them, they valued pitching in particular. They valued, I would say, contact middle infielders more so than power guys. What they got, though, with Jace, for example, he's a 6'6" guy with a lot of pop. He's a power hitter. He's known for the raw power. And he's the all-time home run leader for Texas A&M, where he's coming from. Aaron Walton is another. He's a center fielder from Arizona. He was hitting 320 with 14 homers, 22 doubles, had a strong walk rate. I mean, we clearly went for not the norm of what we do. I want to hear what you think about that, but before we do, I'll just throw out our day 2 value pick is actually my favorite pick. Are you familiar with Ryan Prager?
No, but I wanna just give Dean Curley a little bit of love real quick, the shortstop from Tennessee that we drafted before Aaron Walton.
We sure did. That's on my list too. That's funny.
You're good.
I was so concerned with the power hitting because we talked about that.
No, I get it. You're good.
My favorite pick, though, is Ryan Prager, who was a 9th round, 282nd overall pick. He is this X factor. We don't know what we're going to get. So last year, Texas A&M, he's their ace pitcher, right? He's a lefty. I believe he's a lefty. Yeah, I'm 99% sure. He was on fire, and he was actually drafted by, I want to say, the Angels. Decided to go back to college, and his stuff kind of fell off a little bit. Like, he fell down. He wasn't as dominant as he was, and so we were able to pick him up pretty late compared to what he would have been drafted last year. This is one of those things where it could work out really great. He used to be a top 100 pick, but obviously his stuff falling a little bit has changed that. He's got an 88-mile-an-hour fastball, strong off-speed stuff. So we've been able to develop pitching pretty well. I'm excited about this pick. But let's get back to the power hitting. Tell me what you think.
Yeah, it makes me nervous. I like them going out of the box. I'm not going to lie with that. Jace was at one time considered the 1-1 in this draft. He's fallen down, obviously. We got him at pick 27, but he was considered the 1-1. But I'm concerned because in our history, through all of our top prospects in the last, 5, 6, 7 years that were supposed to be great batters or whatever, how many of them have panned out? None of them.
Big
the last
Christmas.
one was like, right, and he was batting what before he got sent down?
Not his weight.
Right. So it just goes back to the concern. I'm concerned that this team, while I like the idea of making these picks and getting some out-of-the-box players compared to what they're used to getting, we're talking about a guy that has a strikeout rate right now of around 25%. That is a problem with a lot of the batters that we have. I am very, very nervous with the power batting and the power batting selections that are very boomer bust, as they tend to be in this draft that the Guardians made, becoming busts because we just haven't been able to develop hitting like we develop pitching. You sold me on the pitching prospect already because he's a pitcher. That's all you needed to do is, at one time he was going to be really good and we're great at developing him. Okay,
Yeah.
1 + 1 does in fact equal 2, whereas I think they're trying to do some advanced calculus right now, and while they might get it right, it does scare me.
Didn't they also draft what's his name? Nolan Schubert, another power hitter too. Like, they completely ripped up their typical draft manual. Listen,
Yeah, they
I
did.
like it. I think it's a boomer bust kind of. We've seen what we've lacked, and it's hitting, and it's especially power hitting. And they said, all right, bet. We'll change that in the next 5 to 10 years. It's risky, it's high risk, but it's also high risk, high reward. This, especially with the pitching talent that we already have in the pipeline, this could work out really well. But it's one of those, it's so hard in baseball because it's one of those things we're not going to know for 3 years. Like, we can't know. We'll see how they develop, obviously, in the minors, but baseball's different than almost any other sport. You can't really draft a guy that's going to make an impact immediately.
Yeah, baseball is hard, and as much as I'd love to do like a draft grade or something like that, as I hate that in the NFL because we didn't know. I would have gave Judkins a pick of A+ at the time because I loved Judkins, and now it's like, what do we grade that pick with what we know, and we still haven't even seen him on the field yet.
I will
Going back
say,
to the Go ahead.
I was just going to say real quick that La Violette, his closest comparison, I think, is Cody Bellinger, and I'll take that.
Yeah, the thing I don't like is he's another lefty bat too, and we need some righty bats desperately. Not saying that he's going to be called up and playing in the Guardians at this time next year because he's a late first round pick, so that doesn't equate like a Bazana or a Condon of last year. Thinking about the big names at the top of the drafts, because the Guardians had the first overall pick.
Yeah.
We'll see. This is a big game of we'll see, as all of MLB picks are. I mean, Jose Ramirez was a Dominican player, and he's our best player, arguably the best third baseman in baseball at this point. So you never truly know.
Who do you think?
I like the thought process, but I'm hesitant on the thought process.
Who do you think we'll see first? Because my take is, of everybody we've drafted, I think we either see Prager, and I mean in the league, right, in the show. I think we either see Prager or Riley Nelson, who's another hitting first baseman, just because of the position. I think we see one of those two first, but what's your take?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Jace, and not because he was the first pick off the board for us, but because he's an outfielder. We never seem to figure out the outfield, so why not let him try to figure out the outfield for us? Hopefully his strikeout rate goes drastically down and we don't have to worry about that. And even if it doesn't, maybe we'll have a big Christmas season with him for a year, and then he'll be in AAA the rest of his career.
258 average last year too, which in college, that's not good.
No, it's a shaky. He's a boomer bust, and he could be really exciting for us, or he could be one of the names we talked about on a show a couple years ago when he gets DFA'd or whatever the exact term is for baseball. Don't quote me on that.
Right. Noah, I've had a fun show.
Wait. Because we didn't talk about my favorite prospect yet. There is one last prospect I want to talk about.
Okay.
Pick 522, a catcher from Tennessee, Cannon Pebbles. Why do I like him? His name. I don't know anything else about him. I wrote that down because of his name. Okay, continue.
I will say this about Cannon Pebbles. Number one, we know how Noah's picks with catchers have been. Number two, Mr. Pebbles. Which sounds so strange to say, but Mr. Pebbles, I sincerely apologize if Noah gets your jersey because your career's done for.
That's crazy, but you're
probably right. And if Coco
right.
Pebbles doesn't sponsor him in some way, if he does make the show and does well, y'all are doing something wrong. Like Coco or Fruity Pebbles better sponsor this guy.
110%.
Anything else before that was a fun one. And before we wrap up?
No, man, I had a good time with this one. I'm glad that we got to hit every pocket of our sports teams. We hit the Browns, we hit the Cavs, we hit the Guardians, and we talked a little national with the LeBron stuff as well, of course. So it was a fun show. I'm glad we had these topics this week because it's not always easy topics in the middle of July.
It was a lot of fun. I always have a lot of fun on the show. Shout out to John. We do miss you. He will be back at some point. Nothing wrong with him. He's got a hectic life. He's got 52 children and new job that he's excelling at. It's all good stuff, but we do obviously miss having him on the show. That said, thank you for joining us at The Office, sponsored by D&D Meadery. Don't forget to subscribe or hit that download button if you're listening to the audio-only version of our show. And make sure that you check us out on all of our socials at TheOfficeCLE. Also, don't forget, again, August 2nd, we're going to be live from Hofbrauhaus. We're going to be drinking. We're going to be doing shot skis. We're going to be going to the Guards game after. We're going to have a great time. Come out, see us, support your favorite show. Maybe we'll have some surprises there while we're there. Maybe we won't. I don't know. But come out anyway. It's August 2nd, 1 p.m. at Hofbrauhaus, Cleveland. The debate never ends, but the show does for now. We'll see you next time.